Good morning and welcome to the Daily Summation on Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Wednesday, the 21st of October, 2020. I'm glad to see you here, or glad to see that you've come to visit. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for either coming in on Rumble or YouTube, and thanks also if you happen to be listening on the podcast. I wanted to talk today about a blog entry that I did yesterday. The blog entry was entitled "Talk is Cheap," and I just basically wanted to sort of discuss the idea behind that. I think everybody's heard this term. I can't imagine anybody not having heard this expression if they're an English speaker, right? The idea is pretty simple, really. What you say is wonderful, it's great and all the rest, but the reality is what you say, if it doesn't match what you do, then it's not that it's totally unimportant, but it's way less important than what it is that you end up doing. And I start out talking about the idea that many years ago, more than 35 years ago, I joined the U.S. Air Force. And at the time I did so because I was just lacking direction, right? I wasn't trying to protect anybody or save anybody or anything else. As I came along, on my way, I decided that maybe there was something to the idea that what I was supposed to be doing was protecting my fellow Americans. And so I sort of took that more seriously. But in the course of time, I became a believer in God, and particularly the God spoken about in the Bible, right? And the Son of that God being Jesus Christ, and having come to earth for my salvation. So I came to believe that. And the problem is, I started to realize that there was this. Okay. I relate something that happened to me, and I've related this to any number of people any number of times. I was in a school called Non-Commissioned Officers Leadership School while I was in the Air Force, and the first guy who got up in the course was a technical sergeant, and he got up, and basically what he said is this. He said, "Your mission in the Air Force is to break things and kill people. Thank you." And he sat down. This is literally what he did. This is literally what the guy did. And my response to that at the time was shock, but over the course of time, the more I got thinking about it, the more I realized actually he was mistaken. You had 4 potential missions in the Air Force, either to break things and kill people, to threaten to break things and kill people, to support people while they broke things and killed people, or to support people while they threatened to break things and kill people. And I think that these are things that are necessary in what I refer to as statecraft, that is the foreign policy and various things in which you actually deal with, various scenarios in which a military becomes a at least perceived necessary thing. That having been said, as a Christian, I came to the conclusion that it was outside of my rights, my purview, if you will, to do that, to support people while they were breaking things and killing people. And so I decided, this is probably not somewhere I really ought to be. And the result is that I decided I was going to leave the military. So I found a way, and actually it was I found a way, and the first sergeant of the squadron I was in helped to find that way, and the commander of the squadron I was in also helped to find that way, and it made it so that I was able to leave the military. I could have just stuck around till the end of my term, but I knew that there were other problems that were happening at the time that were going to make it pretty likely that I wasn't going to be able to do so anyway. So I went ahead and left a little early. I got an honorable under general circumstances discharge from the military when I did so. So I didn't leave in the worst way, and in fact, I worked in a facility that required you to have a top secret clearance on the day that I was escorted off the facility for the last time. That was McCord Air Force Base, Washington. In any case, the point is, I've chosen my path, and I've lived with the consequences of those choices. And other people that I knew who were in the military did likewise. Some of them stayed for a term and then left. Some of them stayed for a career and then left. They did what they felt was their duty to do. They did what they felt was the right thing to do. And they backed up their words with actions. And this is the important thing. The important thing is, whether you like it or accept it or not, where the rubber meets the road is in action. The words that you put out there, they're wonderful and everything, but if you don't act based on those words, they don't really mean so much. Now, don't get me wrong. I really believe that even hypocritical people can speak truth. That's something that can happen, right? So you can't just not listen to somebody because they're a hypocrite, right? You have to look at what they're saying, weigh what they're saying, decide whether or not it's reasonable. That doesn't mean that you look at that person and say, this is a person I desire to emulate. And I want you to understand that what I'm saying here is just as true for politicians as it is for your neighbor, for that person next door. When you have a politician who says, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do the other, and then when it comes time for them to actually do what they do, you look at their record, and their record shows very clearly they didn't do what they said. I'm going to reduce taxes, and then you look at their record and no change to the taxes have occurred as a result, or they've increased taxes, even worse. You have to realize that it's yes, it's true, they said something and that was lovely and that was fine, but the reality is if you look at the records of those individuals, it's their records, it's what they've done after having said these things that really matter. You can make the argument that somebody changed their mind on something. Great, fine. But the reality is, first of all, that's kind of questionable anyway. That having been said, okay, if somebody says to you, you know, I'm going to reduce taxes. I'm going to reduce taxes. And then they say something like, and the way I'm going to do so is by cutting these tax cuts. You go, well, first of all, that doesn't work. And second of all, then they say, okay, but what I really meant to say is I'm going to cut the tax cuts for the rich and keep them for the middle class. Well, guess what? You're still not cutting taxes in that instance. Okay? So that's not really a valid thing either. But the point is, anyway, what's more important is what you do. It's not really about what you say. The thing about it is, you're going to have to wait to find out what I do is at least a little bit more honest than saying, I'm going to do this thing and not doing it. Okay? I don't agree with the you're going to have to wait to find out what I'm going to do either, because I want you on record saying what you're going to do. And I don't care who you are, and I don't care what party you represent or anything else. I want to know what you say you're going to do. I want to know how it compares to who you've been, what you've already done. And I'll tell you right now that I also want to watch and see how that compares if you happen to get into office somewhere with what you do when you get into office, into the new office that you're in. All of these things are important. Again, here's the point. Here's what it comes down to. Whether you like it or not, people say all kinds of things, and the things that they say are not necessarily true. And they'll say what they say in order to be popular, in order to get people to look at them, in order to get people to vote for them. Sometimes they'll say things in order to shock people and various things. But even if you look at somebody, for example, who spouts garbage, spouts total garbage, and then if you look at who that person is and what they do, you can kind of say, okay, but you know, whatever this person said, here's what they did, and what they did was reasonable and respectable. And if you look at somebody who's, conversely, who seems to be level-headed, who seems to be a nice, solid individual, and you look at what they say, and then you look at what they do, and you go, oh my goodness, look at the things that this individual did. They're wrong. They're mistaken. How could you possibly do that? You know, the point is, it's about their actions. It's not really about their words. This is what's important. This is what you need to understand. And I'm just going to tell you, if you choose to support people based on what they say as opposed to what they do, at some point down the road, you're going to be scratching your head, wondering how we got where we are. Because and if you look, you're not going to have much of a difficult time figuring that out. And I wanted to point out that the Bible actually talks about this in Matthew 21:28 through 31, where it talks about the two sons, one of whom was asked to go and work in the field and was said that he wouldn't, but went ahead and did it anyway, and the other said that he was going to do it and didn't do it. And the reality is that the thing that ends up mattering is that the one who said he would didn't, therefore his action was I don't, and the one who said he wouldn't did, therefore his action was I do, regardless of what they said, right? And so this is what I'm trying to get across to you today. think about not people's words so much as their actions. I'm not saying ignore their words, but I am saying that their actions count a whole heck of a lot more than their words. Okay, I'm about out of time, so I'm going to call this good, and I'm going to go ahead and get myself to where I can post this rascal on the internet. I hope you're doing good today. I hope you have a great day. I hope to see you tomorrow. That will be Thursday, the 22nd of October, 2020. Weather is really beautiful at the moment, and I hope you're enjoying that. We're closing in. We're over the middle of the week, and we're closing in on the end. Hope your day is a good one. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching this video. Remember that you can like the video on YouTube, and you can give me a rumble on Rumble if you want to do that. Of course, you can also subscribe to my channel on both YouTube and Rumble. The channel would be Kurt's Religion and Politics. If you want to see more of my content, you can go to various places. The first of those places would be my blog. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. blogs.kpschubert.com. If you want to follow me on Twitter, Parler or Minds.com, you can look for my handle. I am at KP That is at KPSHUBERT. You can also see my Facebook page. That also is Kurt's Religion and Politics. I have obviously a YouTube and a Rumble account. My page, my channels on those accounts, pages, channels, whatever you want to call them, is Kurt's Religion and Politics. I have also, if you want to support me, a Patreon account. I am Kurt's Religion and Politics there. Thank you for looking at my stuff. Remember, you can subscribe. Remember, you can click notifications on the YouTube to make sure you're notified for new content. Again, thanks for coming to visit my channel. Thanks for watching this video, and you have a great day.